when it comes to saying I have 2 hours and I need to perform for 2 hours, I need to look happy for 2 hours, I need to perform, do a show for 400 or 500 people who've come to see us, however tired I am, however much I don't want to do it, however much I've argued with the people in the band, I can do it and it looks good. And that's the point from my perspective, is you can always push through if you've got the willpower to do so.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today I am joined by Mr. Jason Barnard, and if you don't know him, he is known to be the brand SERP guy. SERP is Search Engine Results Page. He's been studying, tracking, and analyzing brand search engine results pages since 2013. Now that's quite some time right there. He's working with 6 people in his team, so he is a team leader. He is a company owner. He likes getting insights into Google's mind and understanding how it thinks. So do I. He always looks for people he enjoys working with, people he likes, and people who like him, which I think is fantastic. And I could go on and on. It's a long list. I could read a lot of stuff about him, but it's better if we are able to listen and learn from him today. And he is right here. Jason, hey, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hi, man. Great. Lovely to be here, Sean. Thank you very much for having me.
Cool. So one of the first questions that I ask people who guest in the Leadership Stack show is the founder's journey. So I want to know how you started. I mean, yeah, you're known as a brand SERP guy, which you're the first person I know who actually has that description. I've never met anyone else. And how did you get there from, let's start from when you graduated college.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, as you can see, I've got a white beard, so it's been a long story to get this far. And, I see it behind you. You were CEO at 22. You beat me to it. I was CEO at 23. I just realized literally that's what happened. I mean, I did an economics degree at Liverpool John Moores University, and I played music in a band. We played the Cavern Club, where the Beatles started out, which is pretty cool. It doesn't actually kind of make me a better musician, but it makes me feel pretty cool. And I moved to Paris and joined a band who were playing in the street at the time. And we played in the street and made a decent living. And one day I thought, right, I want to make a record and I want to play clubs, pubs, and eventually stadiums like U2. And we actually played alongside U2 at one point in our career. They were in the stadium, we were in the small pub next door, which is great. And in Paris, we tried to get signed by record companies. None of them wanted us. So I created a company and released the record myself. So that was why I was CEO at 23 in a company that released, at the time, one record. We ended up releasing 4. And the band lasted for maybe 10 years. We toured Europe. We played 600 gigs. We made a living. We sold, 30 or 40,000 albums in total, which is pretty good going. The band split, and I sold the company to my business partner, who came on board about halfway through, and created a cartoon with my wife. And that became a company. So I moved from the music company, which I ran on my own. The band obviously was kind of part of the team, as it were, but bands are spectacularly bizarre teams to be working with, because it's more than just people you work with. It's people you live with. It's people you create with. And when you're touring, you literally live with them 24 hours a day. And they're people that, it's an interesting idea that you are kind of married to 4 or 5 people that you don't even particularly like, and all at the same time in this group. So I wouldn't say I built a great team there, because the team already existed, and it's a very bizarre team. So I wouldn't draw any lessons from that particular experience. But then the second company, we created cartoons, and once again tried to get them signed to major production companies. Nobody wanted them. Same story again, created my own company, did it myself, but this time online, and moved to Mauritius in the Indian Ocean and created a 14-person team there, which was an astonishing experience. Really, really, really interesting. And that's where I learned what you were describing earlier on, is to, as an employer, employ people I actually like as people. And I think that was kind of a throwback to the group, where I was dealing with people I didn't necessarily like all the time. And thinking, well, if I can actually work with somebody or people that I enjoy working with, we will have a much better team atmosphere. And that's actually what ended up happening.
So I have a question there. Really colorful story so far, and I love it. You mentioned that you work with this band. I have, by the way, I'm a big U2 fan. So love it that you were able to play alongside them in that pub.
Well, to save my grace a little bit, we actually played on the same bill as Bob Dylan. He played top of the bill, we played bottom of the bill, but we were actually on the same evening as Bob Dylan. So
wow.
The U2 story was a bit of a joke, but we actually played with some pretty big names.
That's amazing. It's a colorful journey for you, and you toured Europe. Now, I've never asked this question before. This is the first time, and I want to learn from you as well. With that experience with the band, you mentioned that you're married with them 24/7. You're not particularly fond of all of them, or you don't really, go very well with them, or you may not even like each other that well. But when you're on stage, you're playing things that, music is something that everyone has to participate in on a high level. Otherwise, it's not going to sound good. You have to play as a team. Yeah. So what are some of the lessons that you took away in that experience where you don't like the team, but you produce like magic when you're on stage? Yeah, well, there are a couple of things there, actually. That's an interesting question, because number one is the team is together because we played well together, not because we liked each other. So actually being on stage was the time that everybody kind of came together in a cohesive unit, and then we would go off stage and sulk in our corner. So the point of the team was the music. It wasn't the rest of the stuff. When we were creating, we would argue, writing songs, people would argue all the time, and it was pretty boring a lot of the time. The interesting thing for me there was that we made it work when it needed to work for the purpose of the job, which was on stage and making records. So one thing I remember very clearly is we would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drive 10 hours, do a sound check, eat some food, wait around for 3 or 4 hours getting really bored, play a gig, have a party, go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning a little bit drunk, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drive 10 hours, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So it just ran in circles. And it was incredibly tiring. And if you ever got ill, it was really difficult to deal with. And one thing I learned there is, however tired I am, however pissed off I am with everybody else in the band, when it comes to saying I have 2 hours and I need to perform for 2 hours, I need to look happy for 2 hours, I need to perform, do a show for 400 or 500 people who've come to see us, however tired I am, however much I don't want to do it, however much I've argued with the people in the band, I can do it and it looks good. And that's the point from my perspective, is you can always push through if you've got the willpower to do so. And a lot of that is to do with adrenaline. You get a little bit of adrenaline running and you can push through something for a couple of hours. And my way of thinking of that was saying, yeah, I can always do it, whatever happens. And, 600 times managed it. I mean, most of the time I actually really wanted to do it. But every now and then, you're ill or annoyed and you don't, but you can still get through. It's something that I think I have to think a lot about, because teams today, we don't operate like that. And you yourself mentioned that you like to work with people you like and who like you. Otherwise, as leaders, we both know it's not sustainable. And when we're on stage, on air, in our business, we're not playing as well as we want to be, like how you guys play on stage. I guess I have to dig a little bit deeper, think a little bit deeper about that. But there has to be some gem there why you guys are playing so well on stage, even if you don't like each other on the backstage. Yeah, I think kind of the music, the creative side, and the fact that you've got a crowd of people who are getting really into it means that you think, well, actually what I think doesn't matter. I'm not here for me, I'm here for them. And therefore I will perform, and I will forget that maybe we had an argument just before we came on stage. If you search The Barking Dogs, The Ace of Spades, you'll see a video of us playing, and you'll see that, it made a pretty good show. I'm very proud of what we did. And the other thing, of course, is even if you're underperforming a little bit, the other members of the team, the group, can pull you up. With music, it's the whole thing or it's nothing. So if I'm not on form, somebody else will pull through for me, as it were. So, I kind of said, I can always pull through. But obviously, I need help, and the team helps, the group helps, the other people in the team group help. And I think that thing is, it's always for the audience and it's not for yourself. Very interesting stuff. Very good stuff.
Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
essence of our lives shouldn't be just acquiring money or status. Like, acquiring money or status shouldn't be the goal of our being. The goal should be to live your life so purposeful that if you'll die tomorrow, then you'd be happy.